Welcome to the Podcasting Mentor Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to stop hiding and start showing up on the right stages without the burnout. I'm Candace Dudley, podcast guesting strategist, and your go-to for turning interviews into your favorite marketing and networking tool. And guess what? My podcast guesting accelerator is now enrolling for summer. Yep, this is your sign to finally get off the sidelines and into the spotlight. Like my client, Kelly, who landed 8 guest spots in a single week after we worked together. She called it a no-brainer and said she'd 1000% do it again. That's the power of intentional guesting, and that's exactly what will help you do. Let's get brave, let's get strategic, and let's get you heard. Head to the show notes for more details on my podcast guesting accelerator. Welcome back to the show. I have a special guest all the way from Australia, Jessica Osborn. She's an online business strategist, marketing coach, and the host of her own podcast, She's the Business Podcast. And I'm super excited to get to pick your brain with all things marketing and really touch on your expertise. Can you start and just welcome to the show and give us a quick snapshot of what you do and who you help?
Thank you. I am in Australia, so it's morning for me. I'm kind of in the future for you guys over in the US and Canada. A quick snapshot of what I do, who I help. As you very kindly mentioned, I'm a coach and a business strategist. I really help and mentor women who are in their first few years of business. They've kind of got started and then they're like, oh, struggling. Where do I get clients from? And how do I actually make money from this business? Because maybe they're getting clients, but they're just not hitting those income goals that, they're modest. That they're not outrageous. It's not like I expect to have $1 million business on the first year or second year of doing this, right? But it's like there's a missing piece. And that's where I really help come in, show them how to put their strategy together, often connect those pieces that just are either out of alignment or maybe they've kind of missed a bit altogether, because everyone loves to jump straight into the doing of marketing. It's like, let's get an Instagram profile up and make a website and all that stuff. And I'm like, the thing that will make you stand out is not just having something like your digital footprint that used to be what we needed back in the early 2000s. It was like, get your online footprint. And that was what everyone was doing. But well, fast forward 20 years and everyone has one. So you're just blending in. You're just one of a massive, massive, massive crowd. So really, you want to attract clients. You want to attract the right clients. It is about dialing in that strategy. So I really help them with their positioning, creating the right offer that speaks to their clients. And then, of course, the simple part about getting them in as well.
This is going to be perfect for where I feel like most of our listeners are at, and this is really going to hit home. Before we really dive into the nitty gritty and your expertise, I always love to ask this because it's so different for everybody. What was your journey into entrepreneurship? Was there a transition? Were you in a regular corporate 9-to-5 job? How did this happen? Give us that story.
And I think you and I have got a few similarities there, because I remember we chatted about this when you came on my podcast. So everyone should go and listen to Candace's episode over on She's the Business when that comes out. Yes, I spent 20 years. Like that's the short version. 20 years. Like I literally came out of school, started my degree. I went traveling. I kind of did all the things. I did finish the degree, but I literally started working in marketing when I was 18 years old. And I had that career in mind. I was working through and, became managers of departments. I worked for the Royal Bank of Scotland. I went all the way up to head of marketing. I was leading a team and I started having kids. And then there was this whole clash of values, and it was on both parts. I could really see what they wanted and what this lifestyle looked like for me was not what I wanted my life to look like when I was raising kids. And they also were very unaccepting of a woman with kids being in executive roles. So there was like a huge, I'd say, butting of heads, shall we call it, at that point and I was like, you know what, I'm going to prove it to you that I can do this. I can raise kids. I can be successful and I'll do it in my time. And I'm not going to be stuck chained to my desk in an office for, long days and everything. So that was really the catalyst for me starting a business. I'd built many brands and businesses as a professional working for other people. And there was so much less fulfillment, I think, in that, I was making shareholders happy, like I was hitting, numbers and yay, we have a successful launch of this brand new business or brand. And, I just still going to work every day, blah, blah, blah. It was just the grind. And now I'm like, wow, I really feel like I'm making a difference for people because I'm working with the actual founder of the business, really helping them to have a successful business, but seeing the impact it's having in their whole life as well. While I'm doing that for my life, I'm like, this is like the best thing ever. So, I always think there's a silver lining. So in the whole butting head situation, the best silver lining for that for me definitely came out of turning onto this path because I'd always wanted to have a business and I'd never kind of come up with what it would be and the right idea. And this just sort of happened almost organic. So
that's awesome. No, I can relate to that. Yes, I can feel that. Speaking of this kind of like beginning part, when is it important to get really specific about your expertise? And is this similar to kind of those buzzwords of like, oh, niching down and really having to hone in? And also if you can speak to how sometimes that feels hard, like you mentioned in the beginning, like what would it be? What would it look like? And, what direction are you going to go in? So how can someone and when should someone hone in on that expertise and get specific?
Love this question because you'll hear so many different pieces of advice out there. People will say, just get out there and do it messy and get some stuff under your belt and then figure it out. And it's like the problem stopping you getting clients is that they can't see you. You're invisible, right? So you kind of know, well, I need some authority in order to get clients. So people go out and they try to get authority by speaking on stages, writing a book, whatever else, and then think that will turn me into being a specialist and be known. It's like, no, you actually specialize first and then you become known as the expert. Like your authority comes from specializing. Okay. And so this is actually one of the hardest things that I have helped anyone go through is because usually the people I work with, we're not fresh out of school. You've got all this experience. You've got usually quite a broad range of things that you can do because as an employee, that's how you have more value as an employee, is like your broadest range of skills, right? But when you're doing a business and you're selling a service, it's almost the anti of that. It's like the opposite. The broader you are, the more generalist you are, the less someone can kind of go, oh, you're the person I need. They're like, oh, I don't know. Like you do all these things. What do you really do well? It's too confusing. It's too hard. We'll move on to someone who's clear. Right? Yes. So the answer is as soon as possible. Like you are best to do that right from the beginning. And I won't lie and I'll say it is going to be hard. It's going to feel uncomfortable because it's going to require you to release and let go of some stuff that you know you can do. You know you can do it well. You may have done it for however many years in your job. You might be really good at it, but it may not be that thing that is really the cream of your crop, like your genius zone where you shine out. That's really where you want to focus in on. And it just means releasing that. And I know it sounds so easy, like just let that other stuff go, right? Whatever, it actually is really hard because your body will fight you. You will try to hold on to it. You will resist this process. So if you're going through that at the moment and, you're feeling that it's hard and you're like, no, this doesn't feel right. It's I'm really battling with it. That's a sign you're almost there. Please don't give up. Please don't let go at that point and go, I'm just going to be general and broad because that's how I can be the best for everyone. It's like, it's not the best for everyone. They don't know what you're really great at and it's not best for you because you're just not going to attract the high quality clients. The world is so crowded right now. People really look for the specialist and they're very willing to pay someone who has the expertise a lot more than they're willing to pay someone who's a generalist. So you are 100% better off. And everyone who goes through this and gets to the other side will go like, oh, thank God I did that. And like, wow, I really see now why this is important. So if you're not seeing it, it's because you're still on the side of the generalist and you need to move through. And I just wanted to say one other thing, because you mentioned, niching down is a really commonly used term. I like to think of it as niching up. So it's like you're not actually going down and it's not like negative and smaller and all of these things, because we get all the fear comes up when you say niche down. It's like, oh, I'm going to get boxed into this tiny little space. And what if I don't like it? And what if there's no clients? And what if I have less? And it's all this less and scarcity and fear in that. And it's not, it actually pushes you up above the crowd. So think about it as niching up. How do you let yourself shine? How do you let yourself rise above everybody, actually shine out with your expertise and attract the people in? Like you're like a great big lighthouse going, hey, here we are, this way, come this way. This is the safe passage. That's what you're doing. So I want to change that term to niching up. I really think that you want to think about it in that light because it is giving you the best opportunity. And anyone who's still holding on to that little thing like, but, you can still offer other stuff once you've got them in the door. Like we're talking about marketing here. You want to position yourself as a specialist. If you want to offer 10 million other things once they get in the door, that's up to you. I highly do not recommend it because it makes your business complicated. It makes it very unstreamlined. You will spend way more time in the back end doing unpaid admin, the more different stuff you offer and the more complicated you make your business. But that is your choice. I'm just saying, right. Like, marketing, you just want to make it simple, clear and simple.
That hits so good because I love to visualize. I'm a visual person. I'm just hearing you say that. And that's the first time I've ever heard that too, by the way. So you should like coin that for something because I've never heard it. And I've had lots of marketing people on. But that picture of like going up above the crowd, above the noise and all the messiness and all the clutter, it's almost like dropping like weight and bags off. Here, this is what I'm bringing to the table. That's so true. I've noticed that in my own business too. I left the classroom and there was like this 3-year span of, I don't know. And so, yes, I was completely a generalist doing all kinds of different things, writing emails to all these different things. And when I finally was like, no, where I shine, like you're mentioning, is in podcasting and giving women a voice, specifically female entrepreneurs. And so I have seen in the last year a world of difference where people are coming to you. Before I would run like a free class for publishing a journal on Amazon KDP and it'd be crickets or something, because it's just was. And then the next week it was, here's a class on how to start a podcast. It just was confusing. And so
Yeah.
I can completely testify to how important that is. In that same breath, people talk a lot about like knowing who your dream client is and having that focus too. How important is that piece of knowing more of the flip side of the coin of like who I want to work with, and how can someone begin to form that picture of that dream client even if they haven't had, many clients yet, to be able to really know maybe or hone in on that? Do you have any advice in that realm?
Good that you brought this up, actually, because when I teach niching in my program, Business Jam, I have sort of like a 3-part process to it. And one is the doing. One is the who. So as you mentioned, like to me, that is actually part of your niche because it's not just about what you're doing. It's often who you're doing it for. That is part of your specialization, right? You can only get so far with a specialization if you're talking about what you do without bringing the person in. And I think there's very few niches where it has no relevance. Like it usually has a ton of relevance. So for me, they are interrelated layers and you can't actually get to your specialization without doing that. And then there's a third part of that in my process as well that kind of really helps you to differentiate. So, you're asking, how do you find who is your ideal client? How do you figure that out? There are, I would say, a ton of really crap resources out there on the internet that kind of talk about, is it a man or is it a woman? And how old are they? And blah, 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 blah. And then there you go, you've got your ideal client. I'm like, yeah, that's giving you what I would call the surface level. Like you've got a 2D image of a person. Shall we call it like a stick figure? And you're like, this is my person. Here is Mary. She is here. That's great to begin with. That should take you no more than 5 minutes. What you need to do next is actually really start to go, what is it about them that makes them my ideal client? Why them? Why not someone else? What are they thinking? What is the problem that they're in? Just because someone fits demographically your ideal client, it doesn't actually make them your ideal client. Like, first of all, they've got to want what it is that you're doing. It doesn't matter if they're ticking all these other boxes. If they don't want what you're doing, they're never buying. And I'd have to say that one of the biggest mistakes that I see so many people making is they see someone who needs what they do and thinks that's my ideal client. It's like, no, just because they need it, that doesn't mean they want it, and they're not buying unless they want it. You can spend all your time, if you like, trying to convince these people who need it that they should want it. But that's a lot of effort and energy. Wouldn't it be so much easier just to talk to someone who actually already wants the change? They already want whatever it is that you help them do, whether it's a done for you service, whether it's coaching, advising, like whatever you do for them, they already want it. That's great. You're now just connecting with them on their level, showing them that you understand where they're at, showing them that you know the way across the gap from where they are now to where they want to be. And this is the best way, because guess what? They're going to have more than one option in their mind of they're probably doing all these other things, thinking it's going to help them. And you're like, no, not those other things. Do this. This is what you really need, right? So your job is not to convince them of the island B that they want to get to. They should already want that. This is the best way. And so there's so much that we do to really get into your ideal client's head. And that is what is required to, really, I guess, understand your positioning in the market in the first place. You've got to have that. How could you possibly create an offering if you don't know what it is the person's really struggling with, what they want to achieve, and know that what you're going to do is going to help them get there? It's why you don't just sort of go out there and see, well, what are my competitors offering? And I'll do my own version of this ice cream and call it vanilla bean instead of vanilla, and it'll have some different branding on it or one different inclusion. It's like, that's not really the thing. Understand your client and create the offer from that. Don't create an offer and then go out there and try to find the client for it. If you don't know who your client is, you shouldn't have even created an offer yet. That is really the nutshell.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like if there's not someone already that needs this, then there's no need to fill. So then you don't have an offer. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it just means that, when you do it this way, this is the way that I teach it, you're actually creating an offer that someone wants right from the beginning. So you're not going, I don't know, like no one's buying, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, you would have done it backwards in that way. When you start it from the other way around, then it means that you're creating something specifically to fill that gap, and you know that it is what they want and need. So it's then just a matter of putting it in front of them, right? That's the difference.
And letting yourself be seen at that point.
Yeah.
I know that you have an expertise in creating a high earning business. Can you talk about what holds people back from creating that for themselves?
Usually because we've grown up, I call this our consumer mindset. We have a very highly tuned consumer brain because ever since you're a kid, you've been surrounded by consumerism. Like you've been buying things at, the corner shop or whatever, ever since you were a child. And what we are bombarded with all day long, you go into the supermarket, it's all about price, discount, this, that, buy this on sale. It's everywhere. And so our whole bodies are just in tune with this. People buy stuff when it's on sale or low price or discount. Well, guess what? You're not a supermarket. You're not a mass produced high volume business. You're not selling peanuts. And I'm assuming most of your clients and people who are listening are probably similar to mine. You provide a service.
Yep.
And it's your expertise. There's only so much of you to go around. You're not mass producing yourself, which means that it's actually a high value service. It's a premium when you're offering someone your service. And this is regardless of whether it's one-to-one or in a group format. If you are still showing up and you're doing and spending your time, it is still a premium service, right? So stop treating your business as if you're a mass market product on a supermarket shelf. You're not. You're not cereal. You're not peanut butter. You are something far more special than that. That's why, when we do this, I again love to get people to start with getting the end in mind. So we kind of look at, well, what are the goals for your business? What are your actual income goals? What do you want to make that would suit your lifestyle, give you what you want? And, of course, we can always scale it up, but let's start with what's that first really good milestone to get to? How many hours do you have? Like you and I both have kids. I know that we are not wanting to be chained to our desk for long hours a day. So it's just not going to be viable or work for us if you've got a business model that's going to require you to be in the office for that long. Or you might think, well, that's fine. I'll do it for a bit and then I'll hire people. It's like, yeah, but that's still a really time intensive business. So instead of you doing it, now you're going to be paying someone else to do it. Paying staff is one of the highest costs in any business. You do not want to have, if you can avoid it, a business model where it's highly based on time and that time intensity. It can work, but it's just way less scalable. So what I do is help them to look at their offers and creating a much more profitable offering. That means you don't actually need so many clients. You can have far less, which guess what? Makes all of your marketing and sales so much easier. You're like, wow, I only need 5 people instead of 5,000. That's amazing, to reach that same revenue number. So it's a really bit of crunching the numbers, doing the math, and then putting it together with what you do, your alignment. Every industry is a bit different. So there is no cookie cutter. These are the steps that we go through to tailor your business so that it works for you. But what that might look like in the output is going to be different per person, per business. It's going to look bit different because different offerings, different markets, different ingredients going in the beginning. Like I have a client who said, I can't use more than 10 hours a week. She was like, 10 hours is all I have for my business. And I was like, okay, that means you need something like really highly valuable that you can work with few clients on and only spend those hours a week. So her offering meant that she only needed 3 clients in a whole year to hit her goals. That was great. It worked for her, right? And she smashed that, did it. She was like, oh my God, I've just hit my entire annual revenue within the first 90 days. And she still had 9 more months. That was over and above what her goal had been. But that was because of a complete change of how she was looking at her offering. I keep saying that word alignment. I know it's so overused, but it actually is about connecting these pieces in. I like to envision a puzzle. Imagine you've got a puzzle and you've got all the puzzle pieces of the correct puzzle, they fit together and they make a beautiful picture. But if you're sticking one puzzle piece from one puzzle, another puzzle piece from another one together and trying to make a picture, it's not going to work. The pieces aren't going to fit together in the first place. And then it's just going to be a giant mess. Well, that's what a lot of people are doing with their business. They're kind of like taking this strategy from this person over here and this bit from here and like, oh, so-and-so's doing that. And they said I should be doing this here or whatever you've made it up. None of it's in alignment. That's why it's not working. You know, you've got all these different puzzle pieces. So it's just about getting rid of that and all of the external, actually starting to create a bit from within and connecting the pieces that make sense together. So you get your picture at the end of the day.
Are you an entrepreneur looking to start or grow your business while feeling supported and seen every step of the way? Join the Align Business Collective, the monthly membership I co-host with Andrea Hansen and Brittany Williams, designed for entrepreneurs like you. This is your space to connect, learn, and build a business that truly works for you, while we hold you accountable with our weekly calls and on-demand coaching. Head to the link in the show notes to learn more and join today. It's got to be true for other people if it's true for me, but I think I'm someone who creating the offer, I love that. It's creative. I can figure out what someone wants. But then, like you said, strategically planning everything else. Like I'm one that I don't love setting a price, but thinking about it, how you're explaining it makes it a lot more tangible rather than just like picking a number out of thin air.
Exactly. There is a number and it's usually really easy. I'm like, it actually can be the easiest part in it if you just take your emotion out of it as well. Yeah. We didn't even talk about all of the hang-ups that we go through. Yeah. So many. And there's been so many, because I work with a lot of women. Women are really kind-hearted. They really want to help people. You know, I've had clients actually saying to me, I feel terrible charging for this. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, you're just telling me what you're doing is helping people so much. And you think no one wants to pay for that and that you should just be doing it for free? That's lovely, but we're here to build you a business, and it's okay to earn money and it's okay to have what you do valued. And who are you to say that someone should or shouldn't pay you for it? Like, it's going to be their choice at the end of the day. It's not about that. And so many women really undervalue what it is that they do. And, you know, they put a dollar value on their time. Like, how long will this take me? Oh, I should be paid about this. And they'll do it that way. And it's like, that's not what someone's buying. They're not literally buying your time. They are buying the outcome that you help them to achieve. They are actually buying the time they save. So how much is their time worth? What is that worth to them? And that's very different. And that's why there is definitely a process we go through. You know, we don't just pluck a number out of thin air. There is an alignment of pricing. I actually find that people, and this can change as well, you might be in a certain frequency and alignment with a kind of level of pricing, and then you may grow out of that really quickly. And I've seen that happen with clients. I've had it happen to myself where I've been like, this feels good to me right now. When it's good, it's like you're confident saying your price. There's no resentment, because if it's too low, trust me, you actually already resent it as you're saying the price. Yes. And as soon as that person's signed, you're like, oh, I've got to do this for that amount. Like, that is not great. That's not a good place to be. Please don't do that. That's a clue that it's too low when you're feeling that. So it's like, no, your level is higher. So what is that level that's right for you? If it's too high, you will be really, really nervous and it won't feel good saying your price. You'll know that it's like too high. So you've got to find that really middle ground where you're like, I would be so happy. I would be thrilled to be paid this for this. And I also think that the other person is getting a great deal. So, you know, that is that really great place. And it can change and it will change. So it's like, don't worry, none of this. We're not tattooing any of this on your head. Your niche, whatever you choose, your price, like none of it is tattooed on you. It all can change and evolve with you, because you will grow probably a lot faster than what you realize, and you'll evolve. So it's just about getting to that place where it's like, no, this is, I'm maybe a little bit nervous, but kind of excited. But I also think this is an incredible deal. Like, they're getting so much for this. You really want to be hitting that sort of place where it's more excitement, nervousness, as opposed to freak out nervousness.
Yes. That's such a good scale for someone to just check in with themselves and think about, especially like in the beginning too. Like, you can feel like I have to charge less. I don't have experience. But with this kind of idea, you can start where it feels good and exciting still. And maybe it is smaller, but then like you said, up level, because when you have those wins or you do gain experience, then your frequency and all that's going to change too. And it's okay to And I think you should, right? Go with that because otherwise you're going to hold yourself back, I would think.
Totally. And if you don't value your services, they won't either. That is a massive learning that I've had over the years, and it's amazing when you do actually step in and really own that value. You just mentioned a moment ago, you're new, your business is new. You are not new. Your business may be new, but you're not, right? So you've got expertise, you've got skills. Actually give yourself acknowledgement and credit and appreciation for it. Price your stuff at a rate that is no, this is in line with where I should be. There's a whole nother piece. People are like, oh, but what if no one buys and they don't see it? There's a whole piece around building an offer. There's, 8 different elements that I put in to an offer design. One of them is price. So there's 8 other elements that actually make an offer something that is really attractive and people kind of a no-brainer that gets it across the line. And to be honest, most of the time it's not about the price. People always say it's the price. That'll be their excuse of why they're not buying. Oh, it's too expensive. That's their easy cop out. There is something else, right? So they're either not seeing the value, and sometimes they're not buying because you're too cheap. So just chew on that for a moment. They may not buy because you're too cheap. And that means that they're not trusting and seeing the value that you can bring, and they want something of value. That is something that's wow, really think about that for a minute. It honestly, the number of times that I've seen someone have a complete shift because help them kind of get that confidence and ability to really step in and let's reimagine that offer, build it out, and you put this 8 pieces in. So they've got something great and it's wow, it's so much more than I've ever charged before. And then bang, they've just got client. Bang, like that. So easy. No question. The client, they'd be like, they didn't even bat an eyelid when I said that price. I'm like, yeah, I know. But we got to that place where this is the right price for you. This is actually of value, but it's also really good value for them. So it's a beautiful meeting in the middle. And that's what makes it a really great offer.
I love that. We've talked about there's so many nuggets, so many takeaways. Is there anything that you wanted to make sure you talk about today that we haven't gotten to yet?
There's so many more things that we could talk about, but I know that there's been a lot. And I think anyone listening now is probably like, well, I've got to go away and think about a whole lot of things. Be open and curious to what's possible. I think so often we're trying to find what is the best way, what's the way I win. And when we're focused on winning and avoiding failure, you're actually holding back. And that's what keeps you to be like, oh, I think I could do that, but no, I'll stay here. And it keeps you in that safety zone. So my advice would be stop trying to have a win every time. It's okay. I'm a high achiever. I'm saying this from the heart because I've learned this the long, hard way. Trying to win every time, trying to have the great result and avoid any sort of failure actually holds you back more than what you could ever imagine. So be open to the possibility, excited about it, and willing to try and make mistakes. And it's hey, it's okay. If I change it, it's all right. Whatever. You can do that. No one is paying as much attention to your stuff as you are. No one will care. Just go for it.
So good. So tell us then, what does it look like for someone to work with you? And I know you also have a resource for us. So give us the scoop on that.
Got a really cool training that you can go through. It's free on my website where I go into what we've talked about today in a lot more detail. Really the 5 key parts of your strategy that you connect together that sort of forms your core strategy. So I explain all that in a lot more detail. It's called 5 Keys to Premium Paying Clients. So you can head over to my website, jessicaosborn.com/5keys and get that. It's on demand, so you'll be able to jump straight in. And then, my main program is called Business Jam. It's sort of like to think it's like the sweetest bread, the jam on the icing on the cake. You get to create your business your way to suit your lifestyle. And it's not about creating as in brand new, but, I have a lot of clients come in that have had a business for 20 years. This is sort of really about let's adjust, let's optimize, let's get these pieces actually working for you. So it's kind of like a come in and see what it is that you need to do to get to your goals and milestones and have it happen a lot easier and faster than what was happening before, because I like to help people remove stuff. Let's make it easier, let's streamline and make it more simple so you can kind of stop all of that hard work and cranking it out is what it feels like at the moment.
Amazing. So, And where else can we connect with you? You just mentioned your website. What about socials, and where can we find you and hang out on a daily basis?
Awesome. Well, I am on a few different social platforms. You'll be able to find me. Instagram is jessica.osborn. And from there, you'll be able to find my Threads account. I tend to post random things on Threads. Well, random, sometimes little tips and nuggets and long threads. And then, so anyway, you'll find all sorts of stuff happening there. I have Facebook as well and LinkedIn. If you're a LinkedIner, I am on LinkedIn, and I like to fill my LinkedIn with really nice, like-minded people and not so much of the old corporate, I'm going to say something really impressive so people like me on LinkedIn. Like, I'm trying to get my feed full of more expansive thinking entrepreneurs. So please come and connect with me there if you're on LinkedIn. That's about it. But I'd love to hear from you. So connect with me, send me a DM, let me know that you've listened to this episode with Candace, and share something that stood out to you or a real takeaway or insight that you gained, because I'd love to hear it.
Yes, I love it. And I just love that even though we're like on the literally on the other side of the world, I can just feel your heart and your mission. And I just love what you're doing for other females. We need more of us, and there's room for all of us. So I will link everything in the show notes so you guys can go head right there and definitely go get that free resource. I know I'm going to download it after this too. So thanks so much for being on.
Thank you, Candace. It's awesome to talk to you.
All right, that's it for today. If this episode gave you a little aha, or you're thinking about guesting on podcasts now, I'd love to hear about it. Screenshot the episode, tag me on Instagram @Candace Dudley, and let me know your biggest takeaways. And don't forget to come back next Tuesday for another episode.